Hello, welcome to Black Hat Arsenal 2024, Black Hat USA Arsenal 2024. Uh, my name is Bleon, and I will be showing you my tool, Nebula, Cloud Penetration Testing Framework, uh, which offers attacking modules in AWS, Azure, and DigitalOcean. First, a couple of stuff about me. My name is Bleon. My handle is GlassesBoy. You can find that handle on my GitHub and my Twitter. So if you want to follow, my experiences include being a security engineer for a telecommunication company and a bank, as well as being a cloud security researcher for Promiso currently. Now, Nebula started as a very basic script that manages other attacking scripts and started as a basic project of mine just to learn cloud security. Throughout these 3 years, ever since I initially did the first commit, if I'm not wrong, in April of 2021, I have updated the tool to go from just a couple of scripts to a tool that will be can be used by a whole team and can attack different cloud providers on different kinds of stuff. Which leads us to the current way the tool works. As I said previously, the tool was created as just a script that manages other scripts. Right now, I have modified the tool to have a team server, which will be an API server, and save the output or the input given by the user, especially in the case of credentials, on a database, and a whole team can connect to that team server and then attack a target. All the team doing that from the same team server. That way, the whole team, when doing a pen test, will have the whole information gathered at the same time, not having it on everybody's computers. Also, as we will see later, I have created a C2 using S3 buckets, which again an attacker can use and can be configured, and the agent can be directly created from Nebula. First off, as of 17th of July, there are 56 modules for Nebula, and all of them are being split by provider and the type of module that they or the type of task that they do. And of course, by the time you might be seeing this video, more modules might have been added. So this is just a representation. It's not the final version. Plus, as we will see later on, it's very easy to create a module in Nebula. So everybody, if they want to, can work with it. This is the module, truncated version of the module list. This will show different modules, and as you can see here, every module is being split by what it does. Then the first part is the provider, then is the service, then whatever it does after it. Meaning it's very easy to know what kind of task and what kind of provider a certain module will be doing. Running a module again is very easy. The tool is built to be kind of like a Metasploit-like tool. I took the inspiration directly from Metasploit. So when you use a certain module, you will have the chance to put the options there, and the options can be either required or not required. And when an option is required, it will ask you in case you haven't filled that. Also, each module will show you if it needs or it does not need credentials. And in that case, if it does need credentials, you will have to to input a set of credentials of the target, of course, that you can use. The tool allows for usage of different AWS regions. In this case, I'm running it on all regions, and as you can see here, it will run even on regions where a certain service is not operating, or a certain service that is not enabled by a client, because that is again something that an attacker needs to know. Uh, in case an attacker doesn't put the region itself, it will automatically use the region that was put initially by the attacker when they put the credentials in the in the tool. It also has a help, which I try to make it as literally as easy as possible. So you can insert credentials for AWS, DigitalOcean, and Azure. You can use the certain credentials on the module. You can look at the credentials, all of the credentials, and it will show all of the credentials, not plain text. So it will show, in the case of the AWS credentials, it will show the access key, but not the secret key. In the case of Azure credentials, it will not show the access token. It will show that as wildcard stars, so that in case somebody wants to show the credentials to somebody else, or just want to have them as a screenshot, they're not going to disclose information. As for the modules, you can list all the modules, or you can use modules, set options, and run them. As for the user agent, there is a list of Windows and Linux user agents that I have put there, but you can always just use a custom user agent. It can be anything. And I have modified the tool to bypass also the part where the user agent will have a postfix, which is something that it's currently happening in Boto, where a postfix is being added to the Boto agent, even though the user agent is being modified in order to know that this user agent or this code is indeed a Boto code. Now, as for reconnaissance, we have 10 reconnaissance modules. These are not necessarily cloud related, but a lot of them are, of course, and they do show different informations, starting with bucket fuzzing and service fuzzing for Azure, which are the some of the stuff that are being done, but by attackers, but also it allows stuff like DNS fuzzing, which will try to fuzz different domains and get the IPs for them, which is not something that is directly connected to cloud, but it can be used to later on start to search the IPs, let's say on IP list. Regarding the IP list, we also have a module that will show what category a certain service is on different cloud providers based on the IP spaces that cloud providers offer. These are, as I said, the modules. For initial access, there are actually two, not three. The second module is not currently fully operated, so it's a hit and miss module. And as of now, I am trying to fix it, but it most likely will be fixed by the next time you will see this video. The initial access deals with phishing for Azure, which is the device code phish, which is automated. It allows you to manually enter the client ID, any client ID that you want to use, and then it will provide you with the link and the code that you want to phish users. Again, also we have the Azure AD password spray, which will try to run one password against a list of users, a list of passwords against one user, or a list of passwords against a list of users, depending on however a user want to do it, as we will see a bit later on. And yes, as you can see here, the password string will be getting either the password and the email, or the password word list and the email, or the word list of emails and the word list of passwords, or however you want to combine them, and then try to look against all the list of codes of return codes that the Azure provides. Meaning you will not only be able to know if the password is wrong, but you will be able to know if the password is correct but requires MFA, if the password is wrong, if the user flat out does not exist, or in this case here, if the user is literally part of an ADFS account, which cannot be brute forced by this method, meaning you will know that this identity is part of an ADFS Azure account. We also, Nebula also detects if an identity is part of, sorry, if an organization uses ADFS, there is a module on reconnaissance called Azure usage, check Azure usage, but this one again can also be another indicator. So you will not be only getting, as I said, a list of users with correct passwords. You will be getting more information from that. Next is device code phishing, which, as I said, is the phishing method that is used today in Azure. Actually, it's a feature of Azure AD, which allows a user to authenticate to a certain application and then use the access token, and the application will use the user's privileges and its own privileges to access a certain resource. In this case, the client ID that we have here is the Azure PowerShell, and I'm using Graph because that's what I want to access with it. And when I just run the code, I will be getting the sign-in informations, which is the device login and the device login code, which a target has to input along with their credentials. Now, this, even though it looks like too much input from clients, this is a phishing technique that is being utilized a lot. If target actually puts the credentials, we can just set refresh to true, and if we can run it, a set of credentials, access key, the access token and refresh token will be saved on the credentials, which can be later on used on other for other modules. This is also another way that you can input your own credentials if you want to test them. Let's say you have an assumed breach and you want to put those credentials in the tool. A nice way of doing them is like that. As I said, I have created command and control, which uses S3 as the server, meaning it will go and grab the command as a file on the S3, then execute it on the target's machine, then upload the output again to the bucket. On the other hand, the attacker will just go and grab the output, print it on Nebula. Then, in case the attacker wants to execute another command, they can just input that, and the command will again go there. The stager will not do anything while there is no command file. It will just loop itself all the time, while in order for the attacker to input a command, there is a command called shell, which after everything that comes after, even for a really long one-liner, it will still count that as a command. So you can just put a whole one-liner, it will still get executed by the attacker. By the script. Also, each time a new stager is being uploaded, or is being executed, a new folder will get created on the bucket, and that folder will be called a particle, which is practically Nebula's name for a beacon. And it will also show the bucket where it is. So you can always just use a certain particle and then just execute a command. Quite literally, there is a 5 second timeout by default on the command. So if you will execute the command, wait for 5 seconds, then you will uh, get the output. And as for the stager is fully terraformed, meaning you will not be using other tools. And right now I'm working on a stager that will also use Golang. But right now, the stager itself is Terraform, and quite literally, you can just loop the whole script, as I said, and you can just use this as a Trojan for the, on a certain Terraform script. You can just input this part, it will create the directory, then it will upload the output, and then it will die. It will not loop itself in that case, because of course you don't want the target's Terraform to loop and to hang, because that will be an indication. And yeah, that's it. That's quite literally it. You actually uh, just hacked a target just by using Terraform and an S3 bucket. Next part, enumeration. There are 18 enumeration modules which deal with different providers from AWS Azure and DigitalOcean. There are just two for DigitalOcean. Yes, there are just two for DigitalOcean. There are some for AWS, and there are some for technically Azure AD. This is the list of all the modules. As for exploitation, I consider an exploitation everything that will not necessarily give an attacker high privileges, but will affect the target in a certain way. Let's say modifying the EC2 user data will not necessarily give an attacker administrator rights, because you don't know if the target has a role attached to the instance, but it will still do a certain damage. On the other hand, I consider privilege escalation or privest anything that can abuse a certain service or a certain resource and lead to a higher level of privileges. One thing that is that again you can see here is the usage of Terraform in uh, the usage of Terraform in the activities that will be done in the commands that will be executed. And this is actually just my attempt of impersonating the indicators that uh, Terraform has, or the activity that Terraform does completely in Proto, also modifying the user agent to be on par with what the Terraform user agent is, in order for it to look completely like a Terraform traffic and, just do a certain thing. The previous version of Nebula had a huge list of prevesc and exploits, but most of them were just one command, stuff that you can always just do using AWS CLI. I decided to ditch all of them for a list, a shorter that is, but I want to continue to increase the number of modules that will be unique to to Nebula, as well as stuff that will be harder to replicate or that will require more programming to replicate by an attacker, meaning even those four modules that I am offering there will be offering something more than just using AWS CLI for your for your assessments. Another thing, and this is just a beta version, but this is something to mostly look for, as I will just show. It's a very buggy one. Just letting you know about this is a GUI client using PyQt. The GUI client is, as I said, just a basic client. It has two pages. One which is running modules, so you can insert credentials. You can just filter and select modules. Put the options here, and everything will be executed. Also, it has the log of the module. So it says this user, the user cosmonaut, which is the default user, is logged in. Then each time the module is executed, it says it's executed. Or if there is an error, it says the module failed with this error. The second part is the graph view, which is not so well done, but I'm trying to kind of simulate something like Neo4j in order for all the resources that I found to be connected with each other, and then an attacker can view everything kind of like GetFound does it, but this time for AWS and other cloud providers. As I said, it's very, very basic, but it's something to look forward to, and it's something to later on that I later on might need to work with. And lastly, creating a custom module. Creating a custom module is, as I said, fairly easy because I have removed most of the groundwork for it. In order for somebody to create a module, first off, I have put the author information here, which is, well, by default, it's my credentials, but everybody that creates a new module can enter their own credentials there because everybody deserves to be well known about the contribution that they give. So first off, you need to import the necessary the necessary imports, which are first off the do not exist and the model. And the model are found on the models file in the database directory on the team server. And these are basically all the database tables where the information will be stored. You are more than free uh, to add new models that you feel like are not yet part of this or should be part of this, and then do a push. Totally fine. And thank you if you do it. Next, the module needs to know if it needs credentials or does not need credentials. If a module needs credentials and this is set to false, the module will not run even though you provide the credentials for it. And vice versa, if it doesn't need credentials and you provide them, it will not, get the credentials at all. So just know about this. And the module will always fail, of course, if there is no credentials. The next part are the options. The options are basically just a JSON with a specific format. It's the option name, the value, which can be default or not, required or not, and a description. There is description for the tool. You can just leave it empty if you want to. It's just something to explain uh, others about what the tool is about. There is the command. This is actually just the AWS version of the tool, but I plan to just modify this into all commands. And the calls, again, this is again just an AWS so far, but this is for the attacker to know what kind of API calls are needed or what kind of privileges are needed for this module to be executed. The next part is exploit. Exploit is basically the main of each module. It has five options that it takes. The all sessions is basically, well, you don't have to input this. You don't have to input any of them. You can just, copy this. But the all sessions is basically all the list of all the credentials. The cred proof is the name of the current credentials that is being used. The user agent is, well, basically the user agent. Web proxies is null for the moment because it's a feature that I'm trying to add. And the workspace is again null because it's just something that I'm just trying to add now. Then you have the variable of the option, of course, that is being used. Give a client will create a client based on the information that you give. So it will create a client with a custom user agent if you add it or not, if you didn't. And the service that you require it to. You can call these functions each time you want with different services in case your module requires different services to be accessed. One of the modules that I can think about is the SSM send command, which uses both SSM and EC2, and the function is called twice. Then you have the function, the AWS call being called, of course, from this profile. And this part is basically all the database information being stored. So if you remember here, we imported this model, the AWS users, which will which stores information about AWS IAM users. And this module will get a user based on the username provided, and this is just a basic, it's just a basic module that I code. And in here you have the necessary or the required options, the required information that you need to put to the database. Also, all of this is the information that you can get from IAM get user. You have the storing of the information on the database, and then you have the information returned. The information returned is just JSON. Also, if you want to just return an error for anything, just put JSON with error and the error message. The tool will automatically print red for every module that for every output that has error in it. So in case it's the output is a JSON with the key error, it will automatically be printed as red, meaning it failed. Otherwise, it will be printed as a JSON, colored JSON. And this is the output for the identity that we chose. So we decided to look for the admin user, and it gave us its tags and other informations like the ARN or the ID, and just basic information, but it's basically what we wanted to show. And yes, as you can see here, we only ran this on one region, which is actually the region that the credentials were configured in. So let's start with a very short demo. First things first, we're going to install the module. So if you look at Nebula, you will see three directories. The first one is the team server directory. The second one is the client GUI, which we will see later on. And the third one is the client that we want to access. Each one of them is a Docker file, which installs whatever you want to install on it. We will be installing the team server using the Docker. So we will create a Docker for the team server. We'll do that right. So I have mine installed, but yeah. Then we need to run it. In order for us to run it, we need to provide the database server, user and password in case you have, the name for the database, which in our case we will call it test, and the password for the default user, which is called Cosmonaut. On the client, we can install the client either using a VM or locally in the system. And sorry, there is right now I cannot find a way to fix a certain bug with the TTI, which will allow you to also install client in the in a container. In case you don't do it, so, so as we can see here, we have a VM. So we just go to the VM. Then the only thing we need to do is install the developer packages inside the requirements.txt. This usually does not take too much time. Okay, cool. Then we just run the tool. The first moment the tool is executed, the first moment the client is executed actually, it will search for credentials inside the AWS credentials file. In case it finds one, it will look if those credentials exist or not. In case those exist, as we can see here from a previous running of the tool, it will ask if you want to override those credentials. If you don't want to override, you can keep the previous version of the credential. If we do a show credentials, we can see that the only credential that we have is the Nebula user, which is the credential that was stored into the AWS key. If we try to use those credentials, and I've also helped you with the tab auto-completion, we can see that the current credentials that we have now are the Nebula user credentials. Okay? The first thing that I usually do when I input a set of credentials is run getUID. So what getUID will do is it will run a set of commands based on what is defined in this policy. This is a policy that AWS says it's one that you can attach to users so that they can view their own policies and view other stuff, like they can list users, they can list versions of a policy, or they can just get a policy, or they can just get the version, so meaning they can just get a document of a policy. So it's kind of like who am I to AWS, since AWS by default does not allow anything else except for get caller identity. As we can see here, this user has the resource group tag read-only, which has an API called tag get resources. It has S3 full access and also has Lambda read-only access. So we will start with enumeration. First things first, let's try to list. This is actually my favorite enumeration technique, which involves using the tags that are attached to the users to enumerate, to the resources to enumerate the resources. Basically, what tag get resources will do is it will list all the resources that at a certain point, even though they don't have now, had a tag. So if we do now, this module doesn't have any options, and as you can see here, it does require credentials, and we have some current credentials. And if we try to run, we can see that it has this policy and this bucket here. Those are the only tagged resources. There might be other resources, but these are the only ones that are tagged inside the, or at least at a certain point have been tagged. And as you can see here, they are split based on the ARN that they have. Now, some resources like the buckets will not get split, but others that do have will get split by the account and the service that they will also the region, but in this case we do not have a region, but they will be split by the account, the region, the service, and of course we will have the resource here with tags. There are cases where an identity or a certain resource will have tags that connect it to a certain service. For example, stuff like well, the first one that comes to my mind are SageMaker projects. To my knowledge, will have the project name in its tags, meaning you can get extra information from that tool. As we can see here, we have a bucket that we can enumerate. Now, the next thing we can do is try to find what kind of objects are inside this bucket. So we can use this module now S3 list bucket objects. This module either doesn't require any input, or you can just put a bucket name. We will not put an input in this case. And if we run it, we can see that this bucket doesn't have any current objects, but the only thing that it does have is a deleted file, meaning we can use the version ID to get the object that is inside this bucket. Now, Nebula itself doesn't have a module to download objects, as that is not something that is necessarily not done using AWS Tree. So we will be using AWS Tree for that. So we can do a tell for the get object. There is a part here that says version ID and the bucket and the key, and we have all three information. So if we do key, and the key was credentials, and the version ID is this one. The profile is named the user. Sorry, and the output is stolen details. Yes, and if we do a cut credentials downloaded, we can see that we have a set of credentials which again are called Nebula user, but those credentials do not seem to be. Are they the same? No, they're not the same as our Nebula user. So we can try to look at them. Or just set AWS credentials. Credentials. Nebula downloaded here, and we have here, right? And we have a us.is.1, and we do not have that. Yes, if we do show current creds, we can see that the Nebula downloaded is the next credential that we. So we run getQID. Okay, as we can see, we are administrators, which is cool. Now we also want to get access to the to the management console, meaning the dashboard, the console. In order to do that, we can update the login profile or just create a login profile for this user, but that is not too much recommended because the login profile is one, monitored, and two, usually administrators will have a login profile. And if you update the login profile and the user is not able to log in, they might check who last updated the login profile, and this will result in a detection. One thing we can do is we can use the console URL. Basically, what this does is it uses get federation token to just create temporary credentials for the user, and then send a request to AWS to get a federation token with which you can get access to the console without having a login profile. And if we run this, okay, we got the login profile. Now, let's try to oh, look at that. We got access. So we are admin at this account, and just to prove it, this was the bucket that we saw before. Also, if we go to the, okay, sorry, if we go to IAM, okay, we have two users, the admin and the Nebula user. Nice, we got access. Yeah. Now, the next thing is, we want to persist. How do we persist? One way we can do that, or there are different ways on how you can do that, but one way we can do that is by creating a new set of credentials for a certain user. This one might be a good user to have a new set of credentials. And since we also have access, we can just see. We can just do the enumeration and see that this user only has one set of credentials. So let's try to create a second one. And yeah. Now, in this case, if we do not put a user, it will use our current user. And if we do not put the override to true, this will not create a second key because each user can only have one key. Now, if we run this, okay, we got a new set of credentials that we can use now as this user. And if we go here, let's refresh the page. We see that now we have two sets of credentials. Right now, we were able to go from a low privileged user to getting credential to getting a set of credentials to deleted object on a bucket with versioning enabled, to getting console access without updating the login profile, and in the end to create a new set of keys with which we can get access to the infrastructure each time we want to. So that was a short demo. Thank you very much for being here. So the last thing that I wanted to test was the GUI client. The GUI client is a PyQt client that is it's written in Python and Qt. That it's very basic and it might break. Sorry. But it's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time now. I just haven't had time to modify both versions, both the CLI and the GUI version. But I really like it because I really like the way you can filter the modules for that, and how accessible practically everything is. So you can just look at the credentials here, you can set new credentials, and you can just, boom, you can set the Nebula downloaded. If you run this one, here you got it, you have the output for the module. And of course, you also have the, I don't know, stuff like timeline here, which might fail, sorry. In I guess it did fail. Okay, it did not fail this time. Or I don't know. We go to ls. Yeah, as you can see here, the module will get executed, and it will get and it will allow you to also execute system commands in case you want to access something, or in the case of other stuff, you also can do shell and the command, and it will send a command to the stager. As I said, nothing much, just wanted to also show you this bit. Thank you very much. Hope you liked the demo. Hope you like the tool. If you have any questions, please put them in the, well, there is a chat here. Also, you can ask me on Twitter. You can ask me on LinkedIn. Go ahead. You can even send me an email if you want to, unless it's a phishing. And thank you very much. Hope to meet as many of you live in Vegas.